Hello, and welcome to another episode of the BigTime Strength Podcast. This week's episode, we have the opportunity to interview Coach Ryan Arnold. Coach Arnold is a BTS alum. If you guys want to learn more about him, you can check out episode 15. But this week, we get to learn a lot more about the ins and outs of Pleasant Valley Strength and Conditioning. He's doing a presentation. This one was actually recorded back in the spring, and it is a longer episode. I would encourage you greatly to reach out to Coach to learn more, and also check out the YouTube video so you can actually see the presentation if you'd like. As always, let's start out with our sponsors. TeamBuildr is the leading software for high school and colleges by providing coaches the ability to write programs online, generate over 13 reports, and even train athletes remotely for side income. Right now, if you sign up with the code BigTime, you'll receive a free APRE programming template, which works automatically within TeamBuildr. No more spreadsheets and workout cards to track training maxes that change day by day. Automate your programming without outsourcing your programming with TeamBuildr. PowerLift is our second sponsor. PowerLift is the leading manufacturer and distributor of heavy-duty strength training equipment for college and high school athletic performance centers around the world. PowerLift brings over 20 years of experience to strength and conditioning around the world. All products are manufactured in their state-of-the-art facility in Jefferson, Iowa. They're proud supporters of all coaches who are making the big time where they're at. And we're happy to have PowerLift on. If you want to reach out to Mike Richardson, his email is in the show notes. And then our last sponsor, a new sponsor, is Progressive Speed System. This is actually by Coach Jeremy Evans, who is another BTS alum. Super excited for him. Awesome opportunity to learn. I've already went through the whole course, and it is really, really good. Okay. Are you a strength and conditioning coach who struggles in the area of speed development? Do you wish you had a system to teach acceleration and multi-directional speed like the system that you use in the weight room? Do you know a lot of speed and agility drills, but you don't really know how the drills are supposed to be teaching your athletes? If you would like a system that allows you to plug in your favorite drills in a progressive way to allow you to slowly prepare your athletes to move better on the field or court, head over to evansportsperformance.com and type in BTS50 for $50 off the Progressive Speed System. Guys, I'm super excited for this episode. I know it's a longer one. Sit tight. A lot of great information. Without further ado, let's get to our show. If you're listening on the podcast, also know that there is a video version of this. Coach is going to take us through some of the stuff that he does within his program, and I'm super excited. We were talking before the show a little bit, and he said, I'm not always on social media very much, and it's true. Like, he's got a really sweet website. I look around on there, snoop around. I've interviewed him before. Coach is a great dude. And one of the things that really stands out to me, I had a question. It's probably about a month ago, maybe a couple months ago now. I had a question. I reached out to a Facebook group, the NHS SCA, within like 20 minutes or something. Coach says, hey, just give me a call and we'll talk through it. Had an awesome conversation, walked me through everything. And every conversation I've ever had with Coach, he is so humble. He never makes it about himself, and he wants people to learn. And that could be his students, or that could be fellow coaches. So I'm excited for this because he's going to be sharing some good content, and that's where his heart's at. Is he wants to help people. So it's a good deal that way. A little bit about Coach's background, and he'll probably be able to give you a little bit more in depth on this. But he's from North Scott originally, which is there's a few communities, I don't even know which one, but that he's from, but they go to a school district that is probably a lot different now than when he went there, as far as where they're at facility-wise, what they're doing there, that type of stuff. But he's going to talk to you about some of the coaches that he's had and how phenomenal they were during that time, and maybe talk about how just facilities in Iowa have changed over that time. And then he was a standout football player at the University of Northern Iowa. Is that right, Coach?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Awesome. I think he was D-line, and I'll tell you,
about 50 pounds ago.
He's when I say stand out, he was very, very good, and has transferred that all that skill, all the knowledge, all that effort into what he does now. So I'm excited to hear what he's got for us, Coach. I'll just let you take it away now. If you want to hop right into your presentation and give us a little bit of your background, and go right in.
Yeah, Coach. Hey, I want to thank you first of all for doing this. and inviting me to the clinic and really not only the clinic, but now we're doing it on the webinar, or we're doing it on the web, or we're doing it on Zoom. But it's cool to do this still. And I think I've been on more webinars than I have in the last 2 weeks than I ever have in my life. I do podcasts all the time and I read books all the time, but I appreciate that. And also I forgot to tell you too, congratulations on State Coach of the Year. That's pretty awesome. Pretty good honor for you. And I do appreciate it. And, it's kind of cool when you ask me to do this. And like I told you before, I don't do a lot of social media stuff, to be honest with you. I don't do a lot of clinics. And I don't do those things because sometimes I feel like you're bragging about yourself, blah, blah, blah. You're really not. You're talking about your kids. And this is a great opportunity today to talk about our kids in Pleasant Valley High School and where it was at and the questions really that I get. So I guess I'm going to start you guys off with the PowerPoint. It's just going to be the contact info. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this. So Coach, you can help me out here on the sharing part of it. So I got to share screen. And then so right now, I think I'm on the contact info. So can you see that right now?
Yep, you're pulled up. You're doing good there.
Okay, perfect, Coach. So what we're going to do is, so this is a contact info on. I'll have this at the end of the clinic. So this is just how you guys can contact me, the school I'm associated with. I'm only on Twitter. So that's kind of the place. See, everything else, Instagram and Facebook's kind of my personal thing. And the cell phone, I always give that out to anybody that wants to call. And to be honest with you guys, I'm like Coach said, I'm a social media. Now I'm a social media guy, but I'm not usually. But if I'd rather talk to you guys on the phone or meet you face to face, so that's kind of how it is. So that's my contact info. As we go down, Coach, what the heck am I doing here?
If you arrow over, I think it should.
Okay.
There you go.
So I love this quote. I really do. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulder of giants. And this, to me, this is what makes you as a coach, but not only makes you as a coach, but makes you as a person. So these guys, if you guys can see that, Jim Kramer, North Dakota State. Jim Kramer, I tell you what, he started at UNI, went to Colorado, and he was the director of the Olympic sports. I mean, he was a big deal, man. He went there and then he ended up at North Dakota State, and what he's done since then. I think he's had 7 national championships. Of course, I played for Mark Farley, Bill Enosenge. He was at Fresno. Actually, he's been all over the place. He was at Indiana before Fresno State University. But, man, what a stud. He played at the University of Iowa. Randy Schrader, who we talked about, he to me is the ultimate motivator. I mean, he's the guy that can motivate you to run through a brick wall. I mean, it really is. And I think he's still coaching this day. Coach and I have talked about this, but man, what ultimate motivator. He's still coaching. He's in Missouri right now. He's looking back to move back to Iowa. But man, what a great coach. What an awesome mentor. Tim O'Neill. I think a lot of people probably know about Tim O'Neill in the state of Iowa. I think he's won 4 or 5 state track championships with Davenport Assumption. He's also the powerlift guy, in the state of Iowa. So I'm sure you guys all know about Tim O'Neill. Rusty Van Wessinger, head coach at Pleasant Valley High School, really kind of brought me into Pleasant Valley High School. I can't thank him enough for that. Tony Stewart, Dave Jenkins, those guys I constantly communicate with about ideas, about things that we can use. I just sat down with Tony at breakfast about 2 months ago. Eric Anthony, Tulsa University. He's with Yancey McKnight at Iowa State University. I coached and trained Eric Anthony at Pleasant Valley High School. Not only Pleasant Valley High School, but when I was Acceleration, which I'll talk about, he was that guy that I trained. And he can tell you this day he's just kind of an average athlete, but I trained him just like he was the best. Gary Schofield, he's not with Play, but man, you guys all know Gary Schofield. He does a tremendous job. He'll get back to you, no problem. Like Coach said, if you call him 20 minutes later, he's getting back to you. Chris Doyle, if you're in the state of Iowa, you better know Chris Doyle. He's the guy. He'll invite you to his place anytime, any day. And then to be honest with you, just the rest of the Pleasant Valley coaches administration, they've been great. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more as I get my presentation. My background, before all this, I was actually at Acceleration. Coach Schrader actually kind of got me a job at Quad Cities Acceleration before, actually, when I just got out of college. I kind of took the sports performance route. So, since 2005, I've really been in strength and conditioning right out of college. So I've actually been doing it a while. Not like those old goats, but I've been at the coordinator position at Pleasant Valley High School from 2009 to present. I'm kind of going from the top to the bottom here, but varsity defensive line, same thing. State advisory board. I kind of took a unique route. As I kind of talked about, I didn't get licensed in the state of Iowa through teaching. I actually went through a performance route, strength and conditioning route. So I actually had to get my grad in education to kind of get really into education. That's kind of how it worked out. The coach kind of talked about the background. I have to bore you guys a little bit on that. Going into our weight room. So in 2003, Pleasant Valley High School, they redid their facility. And their facility was really more like a YMCA. And not to bash that or anything, but that was kind of what was going on back then. So what they did is, and this was not our facility, I just took a picture of that, but what it was is they basically had machines, cardio machines, and then weight racks. Their weight racks were reflex, which were okay back then. And they just kind of had equipment just scattered all over the place. There was no rhyme or reason for the equipment. They just kind of had where it was at. And I, as a coach, and this, coach, as you walk in, you're kind of like, this ain't right. I mean, we're here to train athletes. We're not here working out. This is the YMCA. This isn't Snap Fitness. And not to bash those things, they say, but athletes, they need to train. So we kind of switched some things around. And what we did is, you can see the facility as I play this. This is kind of our facility now. We actually have 9,000 square feet. We actually have 34 racks. We actually have 4 racks that won't be shown here, but we have dumbbell sets in the middle, as you can see in our existing area. Our new area is in the back here with the turf, and then we have basically 10 racks back here that we used. So it's a great facility. The best thing I like about it outside of that, if you guys saw that, it was the track. The track is huge for us because that's kind of the speed component that we've talked about. With my background, it was speed. It was Quad Cities Acceleration. So I learned underneath John for Pierre too. So done a lot of stuff with him, and it's kind of the old school of over speed training or velocity training. It was the treadmill stuff, right? So, but I didn't believe constantly in the treadmill stuff. I really didn't. So my thing with that is, okay, treadmill training, how can we piece everything together? So great facility, like Coach Schrader said a couple days ago, I'm nothing but blessed about what we have, and I'm itching to get back. I really am, but we'll have to see how everything goes in this chaotic world that we're living in right now, which we'll get by and we'll survive. I get a lot of questions. So, Coach, what I said to you before this actually Zoom video or clinic that we're putting on is I wanted to answer questions that people ask me all the time. They call or they stop by, and the first question is, I get a lot from the young guns. High school strength conditioning job, question mark. You see a lot of college coaches. You see a lot of professional coaches. They come back to the high school setting, and why is that? One, I don't think they, we work a lot of hours, we really do, but I don't think they work as many hours. I really don't, but the time they have, it's constant. They're constantly with their athletes. If we're working a high school job, we're probably hitting, 6-7 hours of training versus a college setting. If you're just doing football, you're probably not going to hit 6-7 hours in the day. You might have big groups, small groups, depending on what kind of division you're in, 1, 2, or 3, and the help you have. So people always ask me, what did you do to get this job? Well, you got to volunteer. People always ask me, you, especially the young interns or GAs coming out, what'd you do to do this? Well, you got to volunteer. You got to work for free, and that's just how it goes. And so I volunteered in the summer of 2009. How did this provoke this? So we sat down with Pleasant Valley High School in 2008. And I sat down with another performance company, and they basically brought us in, and they kind of just drilled us. It was kind of crazy. It was kind of a and it was like actually coaches just arguing with each other. Like, well, I think you can't expect me to do this and that and this. So we just kind of sat down. I kind of played kind of like I play now. I just kind of sat back, like, okay, what do you guys want, And so Coach Fan comes up to me afterwards and goes, hey, how would you like to be part of our coaching staff, football staff? Well, for the last 5 years, I was out of football, and I should have been 4 years. So 2004, I graduated, been 5 years. So I just sat there and I just go, I don't know if I can coach. I don't know if our performance, job will allow us to do that. And went back to the company I was working with at the time, and they said, yeah, go ahead, go for it. So I ended up doing it, and that kind of opened up the strength and conditioning job that I had. So what I did is I trained sophomore varsity football team that year of 2009. Basically from 2009 to 2010, I trained and designed programs for all athletes. I trained 9th grade athletes after school. They had, at the time, they didn't have freshman weightlifting. So they really didn't have any kind of freshman or 9th grade or 0 years of experience. I call it basic weightlifting, or block one is what we hear a lot sometimes. But we really didn't have any of that. Basically until 2013, 14, 15, somewhere around there. So I did that, and then basically I did trained early bird, first period advanced, 2010 to 2012, and that was all sports. So it kind of caught on that, the thing with strength conditioning, I think sometimes as a football coach / strength conditioning coach, they think that you work more with the football team. Well, to be honest with you, in strength conditioning, football is kind of where it started. And so, yeah, you kind of train a lot with the football team. It's a bigger number. But all in all, that we trained all those athletes during 2010, 2012. And then finally in 2013, I basically got licensed to teach in the state of Iowa. I had Mike Zimmer, a great principal, Jim Spellag, our superintendent. They kind of held on to me, and they could have just let me go. Randy Teamer, AD, and then Dean Kramer, but they could have been like, you know what, we're done with this. But they kind of let me, take that year. Basically, it was a year and a half to get that and get it licensed. So I'm happy they did. That's great. It's great. It's high school strength and conditioning job is, we talk about this, is the reward is huge, but just to see those kids and mold the clay from the 7th grade all the way up to the senior year, I mean, it's huge. It's kind of, it's cool. It's cool to see it. And people always ask me, well, would you go to college, or what would you do? I've trained them. I've trained college athletes. I've trained professional athletes. The high school athletes, where it's at. It really is. That relationship building is truly where it's at, and I dig it, and I wouldn't change anything about it. So people ask me all the time about our schedule. So we are on we're just a traditional schedule, but we have like basically blocks or things that our principal or administration has helped us utilize training for, or basically our older athletes. So if you look at that, what they call this is, it's actually just early bird to me. They call it EEB. It's early bird. This is just early bird to me. It's 6:30 to 7:30. That's our advanced kids, and I'll get into this a little more detail. And then first period strength conditioning is what they call it, 7:30 to 8:30. Then first, second, third, fourth. So I'll go all into detail here, but you guys can see our blocks. And then how they got away with fifth period is 5th and 7th periods are intermediate, and those are extended blocks. So we have an extended block, early bird first, and then we have an extended block, intermediate, 5th and 7th. So that's how we get our hour with our kids that need that hour versus our basic kids. I'll go a little more detail as we come up here. This is my nuts and bolts, man. I mean, here it is. This is the stuff that I never post, I never talk about. But I want to give you guys a little bit of everything. I don't want to give you something that I don't want to talk about one subject. I just want to kind of talk about with the ins and outs of Pleasant Valley High School and kind of what we do. And here's our mission statement. when I go into this, our primary goal for the Pleasant Valley Spartan Strength Conditioning Program is designed for all student athletes. I put student athletes because, you know, people are like, oh, they're student athletes to maximize high school athletic potential and minimize injuries. You hear it all the time, right? I think Gary Schofield's got an awesome one out there. Prepare and play. I think, you know, I've been even thinking about changing my stuff like that. That's what we're doing. And that's just to simplify what I just put here. This is what it is. But not only that, the most important part is the Spartan Strength Conditioning Program will challenge all student athletes in aspects of leadership, work ethic, winning attitude, consistency, and the above average ability to follow instructions. You know as well as I do, high school kids following instructions. Oh my. It is crazy. I mean, it's you know, hey, did you look at your cognitive question? You know, did you look at the notes on your TeamBuildr app? So those things, those are huge for us, and hopefully as they get to be juniors and seniors, they figure these things out. Now, freshman, sophomore, I think, you know, maturity, immaturity, whatever it is, you know, they haven't figured those things out. So that's our mission statement. That's when you walk through our front door, that's the first thing that you see. It's not like Tony's at North Scott. He's got that big sign when he walks in. We don't have that. We have different signage that we have when we walk in. But this is kind of a big deal for us. This is kind of what we preach with our kids. Okay, so I kind of went reverse order on this. And why I did this is because when you wake up in the morning, you got to wake up and you're gonna want to wake up, right? It's just like our kids. Like, you got to want to get up at 6:30 in the morning, or you got to want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, I want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, I want to train kids. I want to train. I don't want to babysit. So here's why I'm not babysitting. Our kids that have 2+ years of experience, so they've gone through, even more than that, they've gone through basic, intermediate, and now this is their 3rd year or their 4th year. This is advanced strength conditioning. We do standards-based grading. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Our early bird kids, 6:30 to 7:30. First period, 7:30 to 8:30. In season, if you're in season, you're Monday, Wednesday, no matter what you're in season, and then off season, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We currently have 3 CSCS certified strength coaches. Not only CSCS, but we have USAW. We have, man, these coaches have a lot of certs, man. They really do. USA Track and Field. And on top of that, we have a sport coach that's with us in the morning, whether it's a wrestler or a wrestling coach or a basketball coach. And then we have 1 to 3 interns at the time. I can tell you in the fall, we only had 1 intern. In the spring, we had 0. We had no interns, so we're kind of back at doing our own work and putting equipment out, and which isn't a big deal. It's super simple. It's simple things that we've done and we actually had to do, you know, when we first started. So that's kind of what our class looks like. People always ask me about standards-based grading. Okay, and I don't, you know, the curriculum, to be honest with you, I do a lot of our programming. And we have a lot of our sport coaches, they kind of take over on the curriculum part of it. I kind of put that off on them, not because I don't like grading, but it's something that they're good at, and I kind of rely on them to help me on that. But they do a lot of the standards base. We talked about this before. They have 2 years of Pleasant Valley strength and conditioning experience. So they have 2 years with us in the weight room. So we call that our basic and intermediate. I'll get into that until a little bit later. How we break it down: cooperation 60%, goal setting and performance 15%, cognitive 15%. Okay, so and I can tell you a big change we're doing for next year, because our advanced class, those kids are coming in. We've had a lot of people come in our weight room and go, man, these kids train like college kids, and that's to them. That has nothing to do with us as coaching staff. We will take no right to that at all. Those kids really work their butt off. They really do. But what we're going to do next year is cooperation is 90%. You know, you show up, okay, that's 90%. Goal setting, and not only showing up, but you got to do the work. You got to work hard. You got to do all your stuff. You got to do your best. And that's cooperation is everything. And then goal setting and performance, just those little things that we can kind of track on them, that we put through TeamBuildr. And then I just put 80% or higher discretion on strength coach. So what we put there is if you're not meeting the needs 80% or higher, we can actually like regress you down to intermediate or basic. And that's not to make the kid feel like, oh, I'm not good enough to be in the next classes. It means you can't get out of bed. If you can't get out of bed, then typically if you can't get out of bed, you're not going to get a good grade. There's no consistency. We talk about consistency all the time. And if you're not consistent, that's part of those things that you're just not going to get a good grade. Good grade, you're not going to get strong. You're not going to prepare, and you're not going to be ready to play. Same expectations I put on here, and then higher standard. I get the same expectations for every kid that comes in. I really do. But I have a higher standard for our advanced kids. Our advanced kids these guys got to roll. Yeah, these guys got to come in. They got to be ready to go. We got to be ready to go. And I tell our coaches this all the time. And I heard Jake Lewis, he had a great podcast the other day. I'm sitting there riding the bike, and he said something like, I got to look at myself in the mirror. Was I ready to go? And I ask my coaches that all the time. Hey, were we ready to go? How was our energy? Because if our energy is not there, then they're probably not going to be there. I think Tony talks about this a little bit in his clinic that he's going to put on, but he talks about early morning benefits. The benefits of that is, and hopefully I didn't steal that from him, but the benefits of that is, man, you got so much recovery time. You get to eat, you get to go home, relax a little bit. There's just so many benefits, and I won't steal anything from Tony, but he'll talk about that on his clinic. Being on time, being on time is such a huge deal for us. We don't do tardies with our class. We'll take it into our own hand. And we talk about discipline. Discipline is freedom. We've talked about this before. Gary Schofield talks about this. Discipline is freedom. And, you have discipline by getting up in the morning and showing up. And if he doesn't show up, or she doesn't show up, or they show up late, there's going to be some kind of consequence. And I think kids think, like Gary said, I think they think that's discipline, or I'm getting disciplined for that. No, you had the right. You had the right. You could have gone to bed early. There's so many other things, variables that they could have done. Making up missed workouts, the expectation is they make up that missed workout. If they miss, they're going to make it up within a week. Our administration has certain things that they kind of do. And it's the same kids. I mean, if they miss, it's the same kids that miss over and over again. Those kids just kind of get regressed. We don't get a lot of those, Preston, but we do. Those things happen. And then my word I repeat to our kids is, we have a lot of kids that work out. You guys have heard that before, right? They work out. How do I get back here for this?
I think if you arrow back, it should work.
Ooh.
Is that where you need to be?
Yep.
There we go.
Got it. Okay, so we have a lot of kids. Sorry about that. We have a lot of kids that they claim they work out. Not the word I want to constantly repeat or say to these kids is we're training. Kids they say, well, what do you mean by training? I said, watch a Rocky video. I say that's training. That's how you train. I said, go to a college weight room. That's how you train. Working out is different. Working out is talking to your friends, walking around, getting a drink of water, and slow pace. So we really time everything, and that's just what we do. And we have timers that we use, and gym awares that we use. Not gym aware, but we have a different timer that we use that can actually kind of track all that stuff and help our kids keep on track. Here's our intermediate strength conditioning, 5th period, 7th period, and then day 1, day 2 schedule. So they're different now. So they're day 1, day 2. That's kind of how our days are broken up here with the traditional schedule. 5th period is 11:25 to 12:35. 7th period, 2:05 to 3:05. We're day 1, day 2, just like I talked about. Good and bad. We can kind of talk about that. It just kind of depends on where we fall at, how many early outs we have. But typically we see the same amount of, if it's 5th period, day 2, we'll see those kids enough on a Friday or day 3, basically a 3-day split for those kids. And then we have 1 to 2 CS strength coaches, 1 to 2 sport coaches, 1 to 3 interns. It just kind of depends on the ratio. Ratios are really good in 7th period. We have anywhere between 3 to 4 coaches with about 50 kids, which is awesome ratio. And then fifth period, we only have about 2 coaches with, I say only, and I'm just bad to say, but we have only 2 coaches with 40 kids. And I know people have more problems than that, but that's not what we want. We want those numbers, those ratios to go down with our younger kids. But they do a great job. This intermediate class, man, it's the toughest one for me to teach. It really is. These kids are, they maturity level is, man, I got to decide what I want to do socially. I really do. I got to decide if I want to be training, I want to be working hard, or I just want to be in this socialize with my friends. Do I want to be in athletics? This is kind of a tricky stage in high school, and those that coach or teach high school, sophomore level, that is tough. I know basics, it's one of those, you're just kind of molding the clay, working with the baby giraffes, but intermediate is tough. You got to decide, and this is a breaking point. They got to have 1 year of Pleasant Valley strength and conditioning experience. Standards-based grading changes now. Cooperations equals 40%. Technique, 30%. I'll explain how we grade that. Goal setting performance, 15%. Cognitive, 15%. And this is the tough one. 80% or higher discretion of the strength coach. You have to have 80% or higher to go on to advanced weight training. And you cannot believe how many people will email me or get a hold of me or call me and be like, my son's they're not moving on to advanced strength training. And it's like, we put everything in the standards base. This is kind of how it is. We've had conversations. We have individual conversations with kids. But it is getting better, because that is the expectations that we have. Same expectations, but intermediate standards. So what I mean by that is just knowing their maturity level. I still have the same expectations for these kids. I still have the same core values for the kids. I still have the same character traits I want out of these kids, but I got intermediate standards for them. So my patience level has to get better. So what I have to improve on is I got to get better at this. Like, I know maturity-wise, they're just not there. We evaluate. We constantly evaluate these kids, and we have conversations. We have individual conversations. We'll bring them in the office. Hey, if you don't improve, you're just not going to move on to this advanced strength conditioning. Hey, what sport do you play? Really, truly, if there's very few few kids that if you're not in a sport are in our advanced class, there's no purpose behind you getting up. What we have the conversation was, hey, you do a great job. Maybe you should stay with 5th and 7th period. And our kids, our athletes, our students, because they're not really athletes, they're students. They want to get better, and they want to train. They really do. They want to train. They don't. It's not that they don't want to go to PE class. They just want to get their training done during the day, whatever they have, work. If they have some kind of obligations, they got little siblings at home. But all in all, this program, it is frustrating. It's very tough for me to teach, but man, this program gets these kids right for advanced strength conditioning. We get these kids right, and they know how to train. When they get to that advanced strength training when they're juniors. Technique, I talked about that. How we grade. People always ask me like, how you grade this? Well, we used to do squat, power clean. And we have the 8 things that we look at. So squat, we'd be 101. So I would sit there with you, coach, and you grab a bar, you do your warm-up sets, you do your 2 warm-up sets, and then you do your 12 reps. 12 reps is at 60% of your squat. I would sit there and I would watch you. I wouldn't say a word. Now we give them time, coach. We give them a lot of time to get these movement patterns right. We basically give them until October or November before we actually start doing stuff with them. We constantly cue them. We are, how do I say this? We're annoying. I mean, we get in their head like, hey, yeah, hip lead, hamstring lead. Hey, toe up. We constantly are telling them what to do. And then we sit there and we grade them. And then at the end of the conversation, they rack the bar, they look at us. We say, hey, this is what you did. We'll kind of jot down what they did. Hey, your start position was wrong. Hey, your posture at the bottom of the holes was, you weren't vertical, as we'd like. And we do that, and the kids all, they all nod at us like, yeah, I know, or your toes are turning, or whatever it is. But we have 8 different words, keywords, and I can share that with whoever asks me wants me to share this. It's on a Google Doc form, but we do that with our kids. We used to not do that. We used to go around and just kind of watch kids and just do technique, and I didn't like that. It wasn't something that our other staff put up, but I just basically said, we're not coaching our kids. We're sitting here looking at an iPad, jotting in words, and we're not coaching our kids with intensity or intent to coach our kids. So we got away from that. So we dedicated data to basically do technique training, and we sit there and we tell these kids exactly what we want. And a lot of people ask me, well, why do you stop when you get to advanced? Well, if they got 2 years, really 4 years, because they're 7th and 8th graders are coming in, if they have not done something correct up to that point, we'll work with them, and we'll constantly work with them when they're advanced, but we're not going to grade them on that, and we're not going to load the bar up on that. So if a kid's doing that and they're advanced, we're just not going to load the bar. So if a kid is losing posture at the bottom of the hole, we're not going to grade those things. So that's kind of why we do that. I love that technique. I love how we're doing the standards-based grading. And I told Tony, too, the other day that we don't really go national standards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do and we don't. It's kind of a in-between standards-based grading. Just kind of how I wanted it. I'll talk to you after this clinic about that if you want to, but just kind of how I wanted to shoot that out. Basic strength and conditioning, man. Here it is. Here's my video for you. This is our basic kids when they walk in the door. I mean, this is truly it, man. People talk about movement all the time. I mean, this is just slow-mo, man. This is our kids. I shouldn't say all our kids, but I laugh about this all the time. I call them baby giraffes, and they laugh. They really do. And we get some parents that want our kids moving on and doing stuff right away, and they want weight, and we have coaches that want weight, and we all deal with this in the high school setting, and which at our place I'm really, really fortunate. We've had a lot of coaches here for a long time, and our high school, our football coaching staff has been together 12 plus years, all of us. We haven't gone anywhere, and that's unusual in a 4A system. But talk about our basic strength and conditioning. We offer all these periods now. We offer all of them because we want everybody. And why I say that is I don't want to give kids a reason to say, well, I can't do it because I have too many classes or I have too many lessons. So we open all these up. So we actually have 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 8th, and it's all day 1, day 2 schedule. We have 1 certified strength and conditioning coach, which is usually me. And then we have 1 to 2 support coaches, 1 to 3 interns. Ratio-wise, once again, I think some of our classes are smaller. It just kind of depends on how the counselors put everything. But the ratios are doable. What we do on this is kind of unique, Coach, is that you saw our room before we started, just kind of that video. We use the existing area, which is the old flooring. What we do is we separate those kids. Kids that were here in the summer go on the right side. Kids that were not here in the summer go on the left side. And as they advance and improve on their movements, we move those kids over to the right side. And it happens. It happens with movement, correct movements, and really just kind of the relentless effort and the willingness to be there and all that stuff. So that's kind of how we do it. And to be honest with you, what I usually do is I usually work with majority of the kids that have been there. I work with, and most of them are the athletes. The left side is kind of like the kids that are just kind of they just want to train and they just want to work out, which is fine, which is great. We have some kids on the left that just aren't good at their movements yet, or they're athletes, but they're just not getting there yet. And those are kids that probably stay in basic just because they're not ready for those things. And, with everything that's going right now, I mean, everything is just, we're trying to send at home workouts, but if they're not doing those things, I mean, there's no way those kids can move on. And that's just a different story for a different day. So that's kind of what our schedule looks like. basic, once again, 0 years of Pleasant Valley experience. So there's no, my dad took me to the YMCA. My dad takes me to Stat Fitness. I got a personal trainer for 8 weeks. There's if you have 0 years of experience at Pleasant Valley High School, it is what it is. You just start here at basic weight training. Standard space training, the same rules apply, so I'm not going to kind of go over that again. Same expectations, basic standards. You saw the baby giraffe. We're working on movements. We're working on movement patterns. We're trying to get kids good in that movement pattern. Once again, we have coaches that evaluate and have conversations, and really not only 7th and 8th grade or that block 0 weightlifting that I'll talk about, we're just teaching them the basics, basic movements, and really getting in their comfort zone, getting them out of their comfort zone in the weight room. But we want them to feel comfortable in the weight room. So in order to get them to feel comfortable, we got to get them in the room and get them in those uncomfortable situations or movements. So that's kind of how we do that with those kids. So that was kind of my advanced, basically basic through advanced, how we do 9th basically through 12th grade. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're senior and you have 0 years of Pleasant Valley strength and conditioning, you're going into basic. Or if you transfer from Davenport West and, I call that coach and be like, hey, did you have a lot of work with this kid? Or no, he wasn't, he's 50%, you're going to the basic. Or if I know a kid transfers from North Scott and I call Tony up, or I call Coach Hayward from Bettendorf. Hey, this kid can't transfer to our school. How's this kid doing? We'll have conversations and we'll put those kids in those right classes. So typically in the Quad Cities, I can call pretty much any coach, or really in Iowa and just call them up. We had a kid come down from Coach Reinhardt.
Yep.
Where's he at, Dallas, Brian? Where's he at again?
Waverly Shell Rock.
Yeah, Waverly Shell Rock. So Reinhardt's at Waverly Shell Rock. So that kid came as a senior. We didn't let him take strength conditioning in advance his first semester because he didn't show up till after football season. He showed up second semester. And he came down and had a conversation with him. He goes, "Hey, I was with Coach Reinhardt." I said, "You're in." I just knew that he was doing the right thing. So we got him in that advanced program really quick. So those conversations, it's just having a conversation with the kid. The counselors are really good. They'll call us, be, hey, do you want this kid to go in here? I kind of talk about that a little bit too before we get on our speed and agility. These kids, I actually take a list. So I got this from Kevin Vanderbush in Indiana, and he actually takes a list of kids and he highlights these kids and he takes them to the counselor and he goes, hey, these are the kids I want moving on, and these are the kids that can't move on. And so the counselors have the list, and it's bad to say that, but it's really not. It's what the kids earned. The kids earn that grade, and they earn that right to move on to the class. I mean, I don't feel right if Coach Peterson's busting his butt in the weight room, and he kills it every session, and then a kid that barely ever does the sets and reps, that he's going to move on to the same session. That to me is a character thing. And that to me is something that you can't move on. And is right or wrong, that's life. And it really is. And we try to teach that to our kids. And that's kind of what I preached, earlier to you guys, is we're trying to preach that to our kids. That's a character lesson. And we do that, and our counselors are great with it. And, do we take a lot of hit for it? Yeah, we do. But you know what? At the end of the day, it is what it is. And they get what they earn. And that's kind of something I preach to our kids all the time. So that's kind of our basic through advance. But a lot of people ask me about this too, Coach, is our speed and agility sessions. We had a good conversation a couple of days ago about speed. And we do speed, we incorporate speed, but sometimes you don't have a lot of time to incorporate speed into your program. So we offer it to our kids. Why do we offer it to our kids? Well, we offer it to them because I don't want our kids going anywhere else. I really don't. I want our kids to train with us. We have facilities that opened up around us recently, and kids and clubs and stuff will go to those facilities, not because they want to, but more or less because they're already paying for it, and parents are going to make them go there. Parents feel like they have to pay for their kid to, I'm going to pay $600 and they're going to be working with this coach that's weekend certified, and they're going to be with them. And not to get mad at these coaches, but they're doing what I did as a sports performance coach, but I did things a little differently than some of the coaches that are on here now. But what we offer in the past, I used to go Monday and Wednesday. I did 1-hour sessions, all grades. We had 2 certified strength conditioning coaches and then 1 sport coach or a trainer or sometimes an intern / mentor. And so what we did with those, we talk about this all the time. I feel like our kids, they overtrain. Our kids are constantly doing stuff. So I would have a kid that'd be like, hey, coach, I really want to do this. Be a soccer girl. She'd be like, I really want to do this, but I also have soccer on Monday night, Wednesday night. And then she's with me Tuesday, Thursday, Friday mornings. And then she'd travel on the weekends on Saturday, Sunday. So she never had a day of rest. So I kind of started thinking about these. And I'm sitting there going, man, we're just overloading our kids. Or like football, we'll bring our football kids in. Let's say it's an advanced kid. He'll go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. He'll go a Friday 2-a-day. And then, we're really smart about how we're loading. I'll show you the volume chart here soon. But and then they'll come in Saturday morning and do a lift 2 as well. And that's what our head football coach wanted. That's fine. That's great. And the kids, they love it. They're with their teammates and they do a good job, and we're smart about how we train during that time. So to now the present day, man, I do Wednesdays. It's 1-hour sessions. It's all grades. Same thing. Sport coaches, CSCS coaches, and I got awesome results. Man, I got probably the best results I've had probably in 4 years. I mean, these guys were doing a great job. We kept it simple. We kept it super simple. And we kind of broke things down. I kind of share that with anybody who wants to kind of go through that too. But like I said, I love the speed and agility part. We talked before too is, what do you focus on? ALPS. I told you that before. That's kind of what we focus on. And really, that's arms, legs, posture, and starts. My starts are I put them in weird positions because that's how athletes are going to be in positions. So very rarely are you going to run around a track. Do we have some track athletes that do that? Yeah, we have some track athletes that just run track. But you know what, though? I put them in those weird positions. I really do. I put those guys in those weird positions. It's general. It really is general. In the past, I used to put, hey, if you're a track athlete, you're in this group. If you're and usually they're pretty good about going with each other in different groups. But I used to have separate workouts. But, those things are great for them. So the speed and agility class is great for us after school. Why do I do that? Like we already talked about this. I mean, all those things we put in here. My circuits are kind of broken down. We do our dynamic stretch. And then we basically have 3 stations. So we have three coaches, 2 certified, 1 sport coach. They'll just be, after their dynamic drills, they'll have their speed drills, agility drills, plow drills, and conditioning drills. And once again, I can share those with you guys. But that's kind of how we break it out. They're all progressions. And I can tell you, we progress based off everyone being there every Wednesday. If you're going to show up every Wednesday, this is how we progress. If a kid doesn't show up, usually, they're pretty good about communicating. But if they don't, we're still going to progress those kids. We're pretty good. We had, like any high school program, I think you have kids that sign up. You got about 70 kids that sign up, and then you go down to 60 and 55. And, you see you have these kids, but most of them are getting back to you and kind of communicating with you and letting you know what's going on. So that's just kind of how the program looks. Okay, we get into summer a lot. And I got this from Ryan Johnson before I go to my schedule here. And we've changed schedules around a lot. And people ask me, well, why Monday through Thursday? And, I'm kind of getting into this, but this is kind of our schedule. You kind of look at it, if you can see that. That's kind of how we have this. Actually, I kind of stole this from Jay Dahl, which, man, I'd love to see him love to get him on one of those Zoom chats or something like that. He's so stubborn sometimes. Get him on here. But he's great, man. I tell you what, he's phenomenal. He's another cat that he don't like social media, and he just kind of does his thing. But he works those Waukee kids really good, man. And I don't know if he's going to the new school or the old school or what he's going to do next year. I've heard he might go to the old or the new one, but
I think his house is the new one.
So
yeah, that's what I heard.
that's where his family would go. So I think he's going that way.
Okay.
Also,
So,
I'm hoping he's on the next call. So I asked him to be anyway. So we'll see.
Okay. So that's our schedule, and it's kind of how we break it down. And then that was just kind of last year's schedule. And then so I'll kind of talk about it here. But in the past, we did Monday through Friday, and Ryan Johnson kind of turned me on. I listen to, like I said, I'm a podcast guy. I love get on the bike, gravel bike, and just rolling out, man, and just getting away for a little bit. And I turn these podcasts on, and I learn a lot of good ideas, and that's kind of how I fell upon your podcast, to be honest with you. But you kind of just travel and you get on the gravel, and then I'm going Monday through Friday, and I'm thinking to myself, man, like Monday through Friday, my Thursdays were like 2-hour days, 3-hour days, and my Tuesday was like a 4-hour day, and then my Monday, Wednesday, Friday was like 6, 7, 8 hours. So I'm thinking to myself, like, man, there's no way, like I could combine all these things together. So I kept thinking about this year by year. So I hear Ryan Johnson's podcast. I'm sitting there going, God, we do Monday through Thursday. So I called up Ryan. I go, hey, why do you do Monday through Thursday? He goes, it's because it's summer. I'm just kind of laughing, like, yeah, well, yeah. He goes, yeah, it's Minnesota.
I've heard him talk before. He's land at 10,000 lakes. Everybody's got a lake house. He said everybody wants that long weekend so they can go enjoy the lake house. It makes sense.
Yeah, so I got to think, I'm like, we can do that. It's the state of Iowa. Like, you don't get a lot of nice days either. So I'm like, so we basically did the same way. Coaches loved it. They loved it. They were like, this is fantastic. Like, we don't have to come in on a Friday. The only reason we're coming on Fridays is because we had to do strength conditioning. Like, this is a great idea. So a lot of coaches at first, they loved it. At first they didn't love it, but they're like, we're going to see how this plays out. I had so many coaches come up to me and be like, this is fantastic. This is great. So the conversation with Ryan Johnson was huge. The summer activities are huge. You tell yourself that these kids are going to go to bed earlier in the summer. No, they're not. It's truly not summer. I mean, you look at me and you and I, we don't go to bed earlier in the summer. We really don't. It's summer. You want to enjoy it? I want to be outside. Once again, because it's summer. We also offer the 7th and 8th grade. We hear a lot of this Block Zero program. We call it camp. It's free. It's free to all our athletes. It's only on Monday, Wednesdays. And yes, I have gotten emails and texts saying that is not enough for my son. But as I tell them, if they're baby giraffes, and I say, believe me, it is enough with your son. But if they want to do this, and this, we'll send it out to you. And those are things they can actually do on their own. I know Tony's just implemented on Fridays with their kids for some of those Block Zero kids. We usually get around 100 to 120, 140 kids, 7th through 8th grade, both boys and girls, male, female. And it's really successful, and it's been really good. We've done that we did that last 2 years. This will be our 3rd year coming up. And that is just super basic. And that is just, you want to talk about our basic being basic. I mean, those are things that we're just trying to slowly cook, man. And those are things that, you want to talk about that baby giraffe video. I mean, those kids are, some you can tell who the athletes are right away, but it's kind of cool to see those kids, the 7th graders. And then when they're seniors, you're like, man, you made a lot of ground. And I hate being that guy that says the generations today are different, but they are. They really are. I mean, postural reasons. We have some issues just with tablets and phones and whatnot. And it's amazing to see those kids come in and what they leave. So we do offer that 7th and 12th summer strength conditioning. Once again, it's free, no charges. One CSDS coach. I'm trying to get more of our Rock Valley guys. That's our guys that kind of help us out. Trying to get those guys involved a little bit more, but they're pretty busy in the summer too as well. But we have a ton of sport coaches that help out. Our football staff is tremendous. Girls basketball staff is tremendous. Boys basketball. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, those coaches help us out, and they do a great job in the room. And wouldn't be the program it was without those guys. Okay. I heard Gary talk about this. Sorry, I keep dropping names on these guys, but these are guys that are kind of like, I'm standing on shoulders, these guys, like the Tony and the Gary Schofields and, these guys I kind of mentioned before. But how this started, a lot of people ask me about this internship program / Gary calls it mentorship program. I kind of like going old school, calling it an internship program, because it's, we kind of all went through it. What I did originally when I went through Quad Cities Acceleration, we set up a agreement with all the nearby colleges. St. Ambrose, Augustana, Western Illinois. St. Ambrose was that's our biggest one. We actually had a awesome advisor who just passed away, bless her heart, but she did a phenomenal job for us. And she used to get a lot of kids with us, whether it was males, females, and she knew who the right fit was for our program. She visited our sites all the time. And I kind of got Tony hooked on that as well with our internship program. And I can't believe I did that because he steals some of my interns, but which is all right. Augustana, we had a couple of interns from there. The only thing with Augustana is they're trimester, so they really don't really work with our program as well. And then Western Illinois is okay. It's good. They were good. Western was good when we had summer interns at Quad Cities Acceleration when I was there. People ask me why not summer anymore. Well, once again, I go back into it summer. I'm not there in the summer as much, and I feel like I can't offer the interns as much as I like to, and I really can't because of family, because of my kids. Typically, not right now, but I don't get to see my kids a lot, and my wife travels a lot, and during the summer, that's kind of a time for me to be with my kids, be outside with my kids, coach my kids, and that's a tough time for me to do those things. So why not summer? I feel like I'm not giving them what I need to give them, and if I can't give intern or mentor what mentorship, mentee, if what I need to give them, then I'm not going to have them come in the summer. That to me is just you're setting up equipment and you're just going to do stuff for me on the computer or text. And I just can't do that. That to me is wrong. I do an internship outline, which I'll just kind of click on this. I don't know if you can see this or not. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I do is here is this is my outline, the mission, daily responsibilities. I kind of go down here and this is day one. And this is kind of in their folder that I have for them, that I give to them. It's cool. They kind of see exactly what they're going to do. And then I change the weeks based on how many weeks I actually have them. Once again, I can share that with you, if you guys need that. And then I also have the duties and responsibilities. And this is just simple again. And, this is no different than what you got or what I got or any other intern got. So this is just duties. This is just stuff I've stolen. Okay. So this is just stuff I take from people, and that's what good strength conditioning coaches or strength conditioning coaches do. They take stuff from people, take stuff from people that are smarter than them, right? That's what we usually do. Okay. So requirements, we have in St. Ambrose, we have a requirement of 300 to 400 plus hours. I require 400. And 400 to me is not enough. It's really not. You did it, Coach. And, what do we do during that time? A lot of stuff. Right away when they come in, man, we interview those interns and we kind of make it feel uncomfortable. Like we ask them questions, hey, there's 5 different questions we ask them. There's things that we want them to do. I always tell them, I want you to be what I'm not, like I'm type A, like I don't want you to be like me. I want you, what are you, and we kind of go into that, and I kind of give them an animal thing, like, hey, what animal are you? And they'll kind of tell me this, and it's kind of funny. Like I just put them in weird conversations, and probably by the end of it, they're like, man, who is this? This guy's just kind of freaking me out. I do that, but I want them to feel like it's a comfortable background, yet, it's going to be uncomfortable sometimes, as being an intern. So we have them do proficiencies. We show them, hey, show me a clean, show me a power clean. What's this position called? What's this? And to be honest with the coach, a lot of our kids, man, they don't. 50% of them know. They really don't know. But our job as a coach that's our job. If we're bringing an intern, they shouldn't know some of those things. And depending on the background, where they're at. So with St. Ambrose, sometimes the kids are doing a great job and they're in the class and they're learning and they know what's going on, or some are kind of going through the motions. So if a kid doesn't know certain things, that kind of tells me right away that, maybe this kid is for us. Or sometimes they go to a different facility. I would say North Scott they go to, is the other facility that sometimes they go to, or they go to a performance place. I expect all our interns to do early morning and late afternoons. All our interns will come in at 6 o'clock, and all our interns will set up everything. We will not help out our interns with anything. They will set up most of the stuff in there. We'll help them out with little things such as push bands that take time. And then I also expect them to be there late afternoon to break down. All our kids actually do break down. We have it on their TeamBuildr. Here's cleanup. It'll say rack cleanup, and it'll say J-hooks at 6, blue clips, blue collars above the J-hooks. So they have it all set up by the time we leave. A certain amount of weights on the rack. Kids ask me all the time, why do you do that? And I go, well, it's respect for the equipment. I said, but you got to understand too, people, you're not the only person that comes in this weight room. People come in here every single day. People come in here to look at our weight room. People, they kind of, our janitors, we're trying to help our custodians out. We want to make sure everything's cleaned up and being respectful to them. We work with their academic schedules. If the kid absolutely can't come in late afternoon, 2 to 2:50, maybe twice out of the week, we're going to help them out. I'm going to help them because that's academics. That comes first, and we're going to help them and be able to help them in their schedules. But I have sometimes I've had some interns go, I can't come in the morning tomorrow. No, there's no class. Bros, that starts at 6 in the morning or 6:30. So most of our interns are great. We had a great intern this fall. She was actually a former Pleasant Valley athlete. She did a phenomenal job. She it's one of those I wish we could have her back. We've had good ones and bad ones, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But Pleasant Valley training, they will do the program. So we make our kids, our interns, boys, girls, males, females, whatever it is, they're going to do the program. And why do we do that? We do that because I want them to know, hey, this is a cue you can use. Hey, how did it feel when you were doing this? Coach, I'm not gonna lie, I've gotten away from that sometimes. Hey, I won't make this intern do this program or this program, but majority of the time they want to do it. And if they don't want to do it, it probably means they're not really enjoying the internship or the mentorship. But they typically do the program and they don't really have an issue doing it. It kind of gets them back into shape. Some kind of get out of shape, and most of our interns are former college athletes. And that's a big thing for me. And I take a lot of former college athletes. Have I taken interns or mentorship or mentees that have not been college athletes? Yes, I have. And I have not had as much success with those kids. I really haven't. That's like me saying, hey, little Johnny, this guy that's personal training, didn't play a lick of college athletics. And I shouldn't say that's a bad thing. If you've been there, you've done that, and you know how training is. But if they got a great background and those kids are, it just depends on the, variables that we have. And at St. Ambrose and myself, we have different requirements. They always have the daily log, the mid-post evaluations of projects, the stuff that we sit down with them. But if you go back to my current handout, it basically, you have to set up a meeting with me. And if you don't set up a meeting with me for the 16 to 20 weeks, I mean, I can just tell you, you're not wanting to get anything out of the program. So I make them set up a meeting. Hey, what do you want to go over? Hey, here's the questions. What do you need to do? Hey, here's your questions. Write them down. And I'll sit down because once again, I'm not a social media guy. I'm into coaching, man. I'm in there. I'm in there with the kids, and I want to be energetic. And sometimes we'll make sure the coaches, hey, ask this intern the question. Ask them the question. Hey, squat. We'll be like, hey, deadlift. Is that a push or pull? It's not funny. You think the kids would be like, right away they just get the answer. Oh man, they sit there for like a minute, just sitting there thinking. It's funny because that's kind of what we do, and it puts them on the spot, and they kind of dig that. They kind of like that. Here's the reality of internship. This is like when it hits like, all right, this is work. This is actually what I have to do. So you have to prioritize. You have to have a personality. That's number one. People talk about, I need a program and I need to be able to do this, and I got to yell at my kids, or I got to, this is how I want to be. But you got to have personality. Your personality is you, and you can't change that for nobody. You've seen that coach that you're like, man, that coach is doing this and that, and when you're younger, you're like, man, I kind of want to be like that coach. But it's your personality is not going to change. Be you. And that's the biggest thing I tell our interns. Like, if that's not you, if you're not like me, or you're not coaching like me, don't worry about it. Just do the standards, expectations that I want, but coach you, and those are the big things. And organization, we get a lot of our kids this generation not very organized. They cannot separate sometimes college social life versus internship. We've had interns in the past, it's Thursday night, they got to wake up Friday morning, and what do you know, they, will call, or, I can't make it, or something was wrong with my car, or, it's Thursday night in college. So, as well as I do, they're not getting up and doing what they're supposed to be doing. And really, can they apply what they learn in the classroom? And that's a big thing too that I see is, all these classes teach you this and that, and, can you apply what you're learning in the classroom? And then my thing is too, is I wanting to learn versus getting by. Like, are you truly setting up meetings with me? Are you really wanting to learn? Or are you just kind of getting by your internship? And my goal is really 300 to 400 hours. That's not enough. By the time you get done with your internship, you're feeling comfortable. And I think that's the truth. And, the thing is, it's usually not what they expect. And what I mean by that is it's hard work. Internships are hard work. Yeah, you're waking up every day at 6 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it becomes Groundhog's Day. You're setting up the same equipment. You're breaking stuff down. You're doing attendance. But you're also coaching too, and you're being around kids that want to be there. An advanced class is a great class, and that's the kids they get to wake up with. Even in the afternoon, these kids, when they're done with their internship, they'll be like, "Hey, where's Gabby at? Where's she at?" And they've developed a relationship, which is huge with our kids. And that's why coaching's tough. It truly is. All right, here it is, man. Here it is. Every clinic I go to. Jay Dahl said this. He said this to me maybe last year. But he's like, "Oh man, another programming talk." And it's not to bash those talks. It's just every program is different, and everything works differently with your program. But the goal is the same. It really is. The goal is to minimize injury and to basically maximize their effort and their potential in athletics, and prepare and play is what Gary says, and that really is their goal, and everybody's different. And how we do it is advanced strength conditioning. We're in season versus off season. We talked about that before. In season is Monday, Wednesday. We will coach one coach with one team, which is huge. Sometimes two coaches, like our bigger teams, like football and track, we'll have two coaches with that. And then each team is on a different workout. So if it's myself, I'll give you an example. So if it's myself, you can see down below, this is all season, 3 teams. Example, Coach Arnold, Robertson, Taylor, 1 to 2 coaches roam. Usually I'm the coach that roams unless our other coach is in season. So whatever coach that coaches sport in our school, if he's in season, we'll let him roam. And I'll give you my philosophy or details on that. But so what happens is if, let's say Coach Arnold, he's going to take football. Coach Taylor is going to help me out with football. Coach Ogren's going to take volleyball, Coach Robert. So we each have a coach of each team, and they actually program for each other. So not everybody's on the same program. Is it sport specific? No. We all program the same. It is and it isn't. We're trying to program for the sport. It's pretty general. There's general stuff in there. And, we start stuff with a total body lift. So whether it's a clean, a snatch, whatever it is, we all program the same. So they might be on a little bit different workout. If it's football, I told you this a couple of days ago, I'm timing those guys. I'm putting them on a whistle. They're beat up. Their bodies are beat up. We're going to slow them down a little bit. And those are things that we're going to do with push bands and whatnot. And it just kind of depends on the sport and where we're at. But you can tell a lot of the sports, if you're in fall, if you've ever noticed when you go through this, fall sports, a lot of shoulder stuff, right? So if you go through there, you're like, man, football, volleyball, swimming, shoulder sport. It's not just shoulder, but you get a lot of shoulder injuries. So there's a lot of similarities. When you look at that, our off season, we do 3 teams. Once again, an example would be this winter I had a team. Robertson, Coach Robertson, I can't tell you, he's a great dude. You got to get him on one of your shows. Caleb Robertson, he's been in college. He's fantastic. I'm going to kind of get him out there. But Coach Taylor was at University of Iowa. He does a great job too. Get a hold of him. He's going to be an internship in Notre Dame. Because it's kind of what we talked about. You want to be in college setting. Hey, you got to do an internship. You got to work for free. But Coach Robertson is fantastic. He's been around. He went to Auburn too as well. And I'm not sure if he was with Jake or not, but he did a great job there too as well. And he kind of came back, but he's at Rock Valley. So sorry, man, kind of went off on a tangent there. But what we do is we do Coach. I got a group. Robertson got a group. Taylor. And then Algren will roam, and then we'll have an intern, maybe two. And then we just take that team and we have conversations. What I found out with our big classes, if let's say I got 60 guys or girls, I'll take a group of 20, Robertson group of 20, Taylor group of 20, and we'll have those individual conversations. It's so much easier to have those conversations with 20 kids versus 60 kids. And to have those conversations of, hey, what are you going to eat? And they got to show you what they're going to eat at the end sometimes. That's kind of what we do in summer. No, like, what'd you bring to eat? They'll come in and be like, swim to eat or whatever it is. We have different little things that we do. And then Coach Auger in Rome, so he's in season. And I've always said this, and I believe this, that if you're in season, sometimes you can't dedicate 100% of what you're doing to your gig. I've always said that too. If you're a PT and you're trying to be a strength coach, and then you're trying to run your business, or you're trying to, like, you're not giving 100% to everything. There's no way. There's not enough hours in the day. And whoever says that there's not. So to me, it's, okay, we're going to let you roam. You're going to help out every single group. Typically, I like to roam because I like to be around all the athletes. But in this case, in the winter, that's kind of what I did. But Augren, if we were coming back in the spring, which is still kind of on the fence, but if we're coming back, he would actually take a team. We're all four going to take a team. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit at the end. And then in season, off season, it follows the sports calendar of Iowa. So fall, winter, spring, summer, and then rotates per season. Coming back, we're going to have a big transition, which we didn't, but we got everything broken down, and we'll talk about a little bit later what I was going to do. Intermediate and basic, once again, we kind of go back into this, but all athletes are doing the same. All our athletes are on the same thing. Doesn't matter if they play a varsity sport, they're all doing the same thing. Really, the progressions start when they begin block zero. So when they come in as a 7th grader, 8th grader, they should have 3 years before they come in. It's really only 1 year, we kind of said, but we're going to squat, push, pull, hinge, sprint, jump, throw, and we're going to bracing, like, even abdominal torso area. That's kind of what we're going to hit. And then I think Kyle talked about this on your podcast, but same thing that Stuart McGill talks about with his abdominal torso area, bracing area. But it's the same concept that we use. We make our kids front squat until they're sophomores. They actually will basically back squat when they kind of like in October. It's kind of, and I kind of base it off our group. If our group's doing a great job, like our basic class right now, they're killing it. I mean, our kids, I feel like I could put a bar on their back, if we were still working out right now. Probably the last month of May, or really in May, I could probably put a bar on their back right now. But now that they missed all that opportunity, we're going to have to kind of just slow that down and go back ground zero again with them. And we hammer all movements with all the athletes. We teach clean from the big clean guys, so we teach clean from the top down. And then I'm a huge believer in complexes to help with the clean technique. Complexes to us has added all the movement prep that we need. People ask me all the time about, how do I get better at this clean, or, how do I perform the clean better? Complexes to me are huge. And I got that from Jim Kramer. Coach Robertson's been a big help with me on that one. He's a big Olympic guy. He actually did Olympic lifting competitively too as well. So he's been a big believer in that. He's kind of brought that back into our program. I didn't do that originally, Coach, just because I didn't have the help until I hired these guys about 5 years ago. So been happy with the complexes. Yeah. Okay. So people ask me all the time about push bands and really VBT or velocity based training. And This is a different segment. I'm going to kind of just be as I don't want to go in too detail with this stuff, but I do love velocity-based training. I feel like the number makes our kids compete, and there's an intent to purpose to move the bar as fast as possible. And, I don't know if you can see this video or not, but this is Michael Musel. The weight and the resistance he has on there, he's just exploding up as fast as he can. He sees that number every single time. He's exploding, get up on his toes. There's an intent there. There's a purpose behind what he's doing. And I love that. I love what he's doing. I love these guys competing. You can just tell they're just looking at each other's face right now. They're staring at each other. They're competing. There's intent, purpose to compete. And, this is huge for me. And I love push bands. I love the velocity-based training part of it. And, to be honest with you, we talk about a lot of it. We've talked about, hey, what do you like? Do you like the accelerometers? Do you like, the linear transducers? Do you like, I like the push band. We've had some issues with them. But overall, they're affordable. They've been good for us. And I wouldn't, at this point, do anything differently. I told you before that if I could afford 34 tendos, I would, but that would be close to $40,000+ and I just can't afford that right now. The only thing I don't like push bands is the screen is separate, and that offers just kind of a different chaos and things that high school kids don't have patience for. And so I'll kind of go into detail on this next slide here, but a lot of people ask me about our Advanced Fridays. And here's our Advanced Fridays, and I like our Fridays. It's great. Sometimes we just do normal workouts. So if it's Coach Robertson, myself, and Coach Taylor, or Coach Ogren, we'll have our groups, and sometimes we just do our day 3 workout. Okay, but sometimes our kids, if they come in Tuesday, Thursday, that Friday rest period isn't very good. Depending on what we can tell our kids are doing a lot of tests and stuff like that, academics, AP stuff, all this stuff that kind of adds up. We also track that with TeamBuildr. That's kind of a separate conversation. But here's kind of what I've done in the past. And depending on how many days we have, let's say, give you an example, a Friday circuit for us. We might do an MVP complex, which is our movement prep complex, which I'll show you here in video. We might do a prowler, loaded prowler. Weight's going to depend on kind of the phase we're in, or we'll do VBT with a squat, press, clean variation, snatch variation, whatever it is. And then also do our warm-ups differently. So we'll kind of break out of our traditional warm-ups, and once again, I can share that with you guys, but it's all activation stuff that we do with them, as much as we can. I feel like we do a really good job with the warm-up with, the amount of kids. We have 80-some kids in early bird, sometimes 60, 70, whatever it is, but we're able to get our warm-up done about 10 to 12 minutes with our kids, and that's hit 4 different stations. So what we'll do with our competitive drill before circuit, man, it's just our track is huge for us. We'll do relays, we'll do wall sit relays, we have a ton of different ideas and stuff that we kind of bounce off of each other. But MVP complex, I'll show you guys that as we go into prowler. We do Friday competitions. We'll get groups of 3 or 4, and they'll get into a rack, and they track reps, and it's kind of cool. And it's a big math game for the strength coaches. So sometimes the strength coaches, they'll do this sparingly, but we'll go in and kids will track each other's reps. It might be something simple as a step up on a blue box. Hey, we're doing a step up, and that kid's got to count every single contact on a blue box. And you know what? Sometimes a kid missed, but they start getting competitive. They start getting, kind of shouting at each other, yelling at each other, calling each other cheaters. It's good, but it's competitive, and that's not what we want on the kids, but we want competitive. So. Or we'll offer sometimes a game, and it's kind of cool to watch our kids play games. And I always say this too, like our basic, intermediate, and advanced class. Like our basic kids are so unsure of playing a game. Like they're like, I don't know if my peers want to, if I got to go hard at this game. So what I do usually with our games is I play games with them. Like, and I know it's bad to say that, but I'm not training with them. But I'll play dodgeball with those kids, man, and then they start playing. Kind of gets into the intermediate too, like. They start kind of playing that social thing, like, do I really want to play this game? Or so we kind of do that with our intermediate kids. But advanced guys, we don't have to do anything. These kids want to play. It's kind of a reward for those kids. It might be like week 4 for them or week 3, and they're like, you can just tell they're drained and they need something different. But it's great. That game has to condition them. It has to be competitive. and there's so much conditioning that they get out of that game, and it's fun to watch because they really get into that. So here's a video. I don't know if you can see this, but this is actually my team that I had. And it's just a complex. So the first one you can see here, it's just going to be a jump shrug from the floor or / clean pull. We kind of gave them the option on that one. But you can see everybody kind of in that row doing their clean pull. So we put on there, we put a certain amount of reps. Then they go to a power clean. So this is our complex from the floor. Sometimes we do it from the hang. It just kind of depends. So hit this complex, power clean complex. And then from there, you can see from here, they're just basically, they're knocking out those cleans, man. They're hitting those front squats. And then they're going to finish with a row at the end of it. So we just kind of kept 4 exercises. Typically, we do 5 or 6. So you kind of see Javork's got a good one out there, too, that he's used. I used to call this a Kramer complex, man. I used to walk in the weight room. You knew what kind of mood he was when you walked in on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday, and your complex was set up already and had 135 on the bar, and it wasn't good. we started our workout with that, and it was never good. Usually he finished with it was a good conditioning complex. So this right now is what you're seeing here. This is a light complex for our kids, but it's a conditioning complex for our kids. They're on a timer. You can't see the timer. I didn't show the timer, but we have 2 different timers that we have in the weight room, and just like any timer, we have AirPlay, and it speaks over top of AirPlay, and it'll tell you 3, 2, 1, and boom, give you. So what we did here is we did a 2-minute and 30 countdown, and they had to both get their partner and themselves had to get in basically the 4 different exercises or movements during that complex. Let's see if I get past it. All right, and this is just it's kind of a lighter prowler push, maybe nothing special. This is a prowler push, right? I mean, we've all seen prowler push, but it's a lighter prowler push. That's kind of our turf that we have. And there's a timer you can kind of see in the background, but these guys are basically going high bar, low bar. They're just pushing. They're just got basically relay groups, and it's just kind of a way to kind of get a little bit more conditioning out of them. So what you saw there was our push band, our velocity-based training. You had our prowlers, and then you had our complex too as well. And then, so programming, I kind of put like what we have used in our program. We've used everything. We have APRE, linear model, nonlinear, undulated, 1x20 tempo, French contrast, RPE, VBT, velocity-based training, tracking. So it's kind of a cool thing I do. And so TeamBuildr, they actually give you the ability to you can actually track the volume. You can see your total volume, but you can't see your volume for what you're doing. So if you look at this, and I'm sure other coaches do this too, this kind of Soviet way. I mean, this is stuff I've stolen from the Soviet. This is kind of their way of training in regards to rack, basically doing the reps and counting the reps. So can you see that, Coach?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So what I've done here is I track total body or power, squat, press, posterior chain, horizontal, vertical pull, and then I put my total reps to the right side. So you can kind of tell what phase I'm in as you do this work capacity, go down a little bit. We lost a day there. We didn't have school on Friday, so we kind of lost a day for reps. And then you can kind of see as the rep count goes on, but you don't see the intensity, which is fine. But if you notice the number would be lower, the intensity would probably be a little bit higher, right? So you kind of track that a little bit. But so I'm a big believer in this. I really am. I kind of look back at our program. We had fantastic max outs, and I know that's not just because of what I'm tracking here. And I know the kids I had probably and the athletes I had, but I recommend doing something like this because it will change your programming. Realize how much more you do volume-wise, and you'll go, holy cow, how much volume am I putting on these kids? And then, so what I do with our in-season kids, I track the volume through TeamBuildr. And I don't track body weight stuff, and I don't track med ball throws, and I don't track stuff like that. I actually just track the stimulus related / heavy weighted stuff. And why I don't do that, I feel like the body weight stuff is, it's a lot of those kids can do that all the time. I mean, they're high school kids; they can recover a lot quicker than us, right? So I don't track that, but I just try to keep it light, moderate, heavy, whatever it should be with those season kids. But I do track the volume on TeamBuildr, so I can just see it, and it automatically tracks it. Anyway, so this is good. I can share this with you guys, but it's pretty simple standard. It's just a simple, basic sheet that you guys can put on our Excel file. Improvements. So I'm kind of getting towards the end here, but man, I need to improve. We all need to improve. As strength and conditioning coaches, these are just little things I want to improve on. I want a female strength and conditioning coach. We had a female strength and conditioning coach. She took kind of a different lead or a different job at our high school, but she still helps us out in the summer. She does a fantastic job. But I recommend getting a female strength and conditioning coach. They are phenomenal. They work phenomenally with our female athletes. And if you don't think you need them, you do. You really do. They're good. They tremendously help us out, and I highly recommend them. What we did this spring, I kind of talked about this a little bit. Our athletes, I put a list up on the board, and I kind of stole this from Gary again, but I put size, shape, strength, and speed. And our kids signed up. Our kids signed up. We already did this anyways, but we did it kind of like a pick. We did like a football pick. Like, hey, 1 through 4. Here you go. You pick 1, 2, 3, 4. And we pick kids. Kids are always asked about, who'd you pick? Well, how come you didn't pick me? Why didn't you pick me in this program? And so we kind of did this, and I got this idea from Gary, and these kids signed up for it. And the reason I liked it, it wasn't that I didn't think what we were doing is right or wrong or whatever it was, but I felt like Gary talked about it. He's like, it creates some ownership, and it created conversation with our kids that I've never had before. It created conversation with kids coming in and going, what do you think I should do? Which I loved. I was kind of like, well, that's fantastic. That's awesome. That you've actually had a conversation. You're telling me you want to know why you're going to do something. So I had to ask a kid, how much do you weigh? Well, I weigh 160. What do you squat? I squat 400. Okay. Isn't that over 2 times your body weight? Yeah. What do you think you should be working on? Or what do you need to work on? So he kind of go on and he kind of think about it, and say, and he go, speed. You go, that's exactly what I wanted. You need to work on speed. So how can I get you to move the bar fast? How can I get you faster as an athlete? So we had those conversations with a lot of our kids, and the kids there are a few that didn't pick what I wanted them to. So I bring them in and have those conversations. And Gary talked about this a little bit in his. He'd have conversations with them and go, why do you want that? And he'd have conversations, and they're good conversations. So I felt like it opened up conversation and relationship with our kids, but I also felt like it created some ownership with the kids, which I wish we were doing it now. Once again, we can't, and not a big deal. We'll move on. We'll get better, and we'll adapt to it. But I felt like our kids were going to really adjust and do a great job with this. Creating championship culture. I heard Gary talk about this. He talked about his eight things that he creates. I want to get better at that. I feel like I've had conversations with numerous coaches being like, man, this kid is going to this place or this YMCA or they're not believing in what we're doing or they're doing this. I've showed them their volume change, but they're doing this. So I want to create belief, excellence, wisdom, discipline, perseverance, work ethic. I want them to know servant leader, and I want them to be passionate about what they're doing. And, probably not using those same words. I don't know, but I want to dive in that a little bit deeper. And what I want to create with our kids, and which I've kind of already created a couple of years ago, I had a kid come in, actually it was last year, and he would say, hey, it was awesome. It was before, hey, I'm going to go the YMCA afterwards. And it's like, okay, well, you're going to bench press, so he's going to bench press. So he's going to add 60 reps to my press. So if you saw that, my pull is it's double or triple that, right? Well, then I'd show him that chart, and he'd go, man. So I said, if you're going to do that, fine, but do this. So we had those conversations again. So I don't think it's about, I think our kids believe in what we're doing, Coach, and I think you're doing a hell of a job too. But I also think the kids are going to work on their own. They're high school kids, and what they want to do, high school boys, they want to get huge, and I don't think they understand the puberty and all those things that will happen eventually and as they get a little bit older. But I think having conversations with them is, hey, if you're going to do this, And I think these times right now we're going through are the best times for these conversations. I've had kids call me, and I had people text, here's a movement thing that you need to work on. Here's my workout on TeamBuildr. Hey, I'm going to Zoom next week with these kids. We have different groups. But I think these conversations are great for our kids because they'll actually know and learn a little bit more about strength training. We don't ever have time to actually teach and talk about. So at a bad time, it actually can turn into a good time with our kids and talk about programming. Core values. Are we going to change our mission statement? I don't think we're going to change it. I think, we talk about with Gary, he likes the words. The words change everything. And I sat down with my wife. She sent out a report, Gary's outside sales, and she had me read something, and I just had her change a few things for words. And it made a huge deal, and I think sometimes our mission statement is just kind of blah. It's just bland. We all want the same thing, but Gary talked about this: prepare, protect, move well, move strong, thrive. Goal is to play better and play more. And it is. That is a simple goal, and I've put Gary's little thing on there, Gary Schofield, episode 82, Big Time Strength, kind of giving you a big shout out there too, man. But, I learned a lot of stuff from coaches on that podcast, and that's huge for me. But improvements just don't stop there. They're going to keep going. And if you're not proven as a coach and you think you know everything, I'm only 38, and I got a lot to learn. I really do. And sometimes I look at my old stuff, my programming when I was in my 20s or even 36, 35. I'm like, man, what was I doing? So the improvements constantly have to change and get better. And then I just kind of left this. This is kind of the end of it. But, if we're in the clinic, I just wanted to know if anybody had any questions, or coach, you can hit me up with some questions if you want some. And then I kind of left it here. If people want to contact me, and I know Coach will kind of go into detail here, but my email is arnoldryan@pledsval.org, and then Twitter @pbstrength. I apologize. Once again, I'm on social media. I've been on social media more now, or been on my phone more now in the last 2 weeks than I've ever been in my life. So contacting me now is probably the best time. But once I'm kind of coaching again and training, I promise I'll get back to you, whether it's email or Twitter. And I like phone conversations. My cell phone, 563-209-3406. Don't have a problem giving that out. And I'm willing to talk to anybody, text, whatever it is, and at any time. So, Coach, I appreciate you having me on. If you have any questions, let me know.
Coach, as I was looking through this stuff, there's just maybe a couple questions that I have that, for me, I really want to get rolling with an intern program. Started to get connected with Cornell College, which is in town. What was your steps for that? Were you just finding a coordinator or an instructor on campus of each one of those spots? Was that the biggest connection?
What you do, Coach, is you have you're going to have a great intern coming in your way. Anyways, I got Isla Perez Johnson. She's a volleyball player for us, all-stater. She's going to go to Cornell next year. So if you're looking for somebody that's a strength conditioning, athletic, all the way performance person, she's a stud, and she'll be coming your way. But she's would be one that you look at. But I would go to there's a advisor for that, an internship advisor. And that's who I kind of basically, I didn't call. I actually stopped in there. I wanted to talk face to face. And it's kind of cool. They actually have you come in and talk to their team and their classes, and they have you talk about your philosophy and your training. And they kind of use you a little bit too. And you're not using them. You're trying to make those kids better and athletes better, and they check in on them. But yeah, that's what I recommend. Every college typically has an advisor that you talk to. And so if you call the counseling or advising office, they can kind of direct you that way.
Perfect. Yeah. And then probably my last question, just for the show anyway, and then we can leave this open. You were talking about that Advanced Friday. Tell me, how often did you say you're doing that? And when is that for in-season people too, out of season, just that advanced class gets the opportunity, or you say freshmen and sophomore have that opportunity too?
So if it's I should have kind of gone into more detail with that. That's our all-season advance that we do that with. Okay. Our in-season will typically only lift Monday and Wednesday. Yeah, and then I should go into more detail. If it's intermediate and our kids need to get better at cleans, okay, we're going to do a clean complex. We're going to do a different kind of circuit with those kids. So that circuit's a little bit different with our kids, versus we're not going to sit there and hammer them on 4 different stations, because those kids probably can't handle at that point just because of the volume that we put on them. And then basic is something simple. It'd be like, hey, we're teaching a simple, like we just did power clean before break. So we're teaching our kids, hey, set position. We get them in set position. We all start them, set them. We go by, we check them off. Okay, and then we blow the whistle. Relax. Boom. Set position. Get them set up. Okay, we're going to count you out. 3 or 4, 3, 2. When you're at 1, you're just above your knee, and you're catching that bar and moving that bar as fast as you can. So we do that as a group, so we can see that movement as a group, and then we do that a couple sets, and we'll go by and be like, okay, this is what you need to work on. This is what you need to work on. So we let the kids go off for the next whatever sets that we have, and that's been really successful. But Fridays are kind of sometimes my open days with our kids. It might be a conditioning complex with our basic kids. If they've gotten all the movements down and it's January or February, we're doing a conditioning complex. And as soon as they get on their complex, they're jogging on the track. They do a lap. They come around. There's certain things that we want them to do, and there's a timer going. So we're trying to get some kind of conditioning aspect component out there. I can tell you most of my Fridays, if it's my third day and we don't have like an early out, that's my conditioning day. And what I mean by that is we're going to put some volume on them, and we're going to condition the athletes, because I feel like some of our kids, if they're not in season, they got to condition a little bit more. And I know Gary's kind of talked about that, if we put heart rate monitors on and whatnot. But at that basic level, I feel like our kids need a bit more conditioning, and the complexes are great. They're not too heavy to where they're actually losing their form. So I hope that answers your question, Coach. I mean,
that's good. Yeah, that's perfect, actually. I wanted to thank you for coming on and doing this. This is a lot of information. And one of the things that, if I was a viewer, if I'm listening to this thing, I would reach out to Coach. And I tell you, when he gives you your cell phone number and says you can call, I'd recommend doing it. He's an awesome resource. He's helped me out multiple times. And I just want you guys to utilize that opportunity. The other thing is just a quick announcement. We're going to be putting out these videos over the course of however long this break is. But if you have any interest on certain topics, all that type of stuff, reach out to me. Definitely we'll try to put together maybe like a panel, do something like that, and do a recording that way. Coach, once again, I appreciate you. This was awesome. It takes time to do this, to put it together, to prepare, and then to do it. And I truly appreciate it.
No, Coach, I appreciate what you do, and I think once again, congratulations on the be elected as a state strength coach of the year, and it's a huge opportunity. And you do so much for the state of Iowa. The podcast is huge. The group you created, and many more things. So as a young strength coach like yourself, that's huge. And I know you've gone through the grind, and you continue to get better. And I learn from you every day, and I learn from every other strength coach. So I appreciate the opportunity, but look forward to hearing from people if they got questions. I'm not perfect, damn near perfect, but I'm constantly, at least I've gone through trial and error and gone through some years where I can help the other coaches out.
Heck yeah. Thank you very much. Coach, you're the man.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, that was really good. I'll clip off this back end.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And then I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like a schedule for this, but I don't know when this will drop. But I will text you once I get this.
Okay.
Up.
Yeah.
My plan is to put it up kind of on that BigTime Strength and Football website, but then I'll also put it on just straight on the Twitter, a link there. Just have a few different spots for that to go.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah, cool, man.
You crushed it. This was good.
All right, thanks, man. Yeah, it's long. It's long. I knew it'd be long. That's why when you sent me the 30 to 40 minutes, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get that in 30, 40.
No, you're good. I've got 4.5 pages of notes. So
yeah.
it's a good thing I'm buying, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. The last thing I would say is when this drops, if you could help me push it out, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. You're the man. See you,
All
Coach.
right, man. Thanks, Coach. Yep, bye-bye.